Hey, these type of videos are fun to do as a content creator. And as a fragrance head, these are the type of videos that I absolutely love watching. I'm really deep in this hobby, if you didn't guess. So if you're a part of this channel and you're delving into the deep end of the fragrance game, this is one of those that has a double edge to the sword. And what do I mean by that? Once you really get into this hobby, you start seeking out discontinued fragrances and fragrances that have a cult following. This is a double-edged sword because A, they're hard to find, and you're going to see people on eBay trying to gouge you with the price. I hate those type of people, but hey, you got to make your money, so I understand. But even designer fragrances, case in point, Gucci Envy. It's discontinued, but it has a huge cult following. Not as, way bigger than this thing. But it makes you, as a fragrance head, you're intrigued. You want to get a bottle of the fragrance. So this is one of those fragrances right here, Peruvian Ambrette from the House of Zegna. They kind of repackaged this line a few years back and kind of left some behind. And then you got some people screaming bloody murder on the ones that got axed. So this one right here, the whole basis of this video, again, of course, it's a first impression video. I've worn this fragrance a few times in my journey now, and I want to tell you guys before I put this in the vault for a full-fledged review. So basically, is this a discontinued gem from the house? Find out next on Pop the Cherry. What's going on, fragrance family? Welcome to another episode of Pop the Cherry. This is where I pop the cork on a fragrance and give you my take on my first few wearings on skin on a particular fragrance like this one. I've worn this fragrance right here as my scent of the day today, and I'm going to inform you how it went, good, bad, and the ugly. You know me. Now, first and foremost, before I get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I'd like to thank my partner in crime, FragranceX.com. They had this in stock. I think I bought this about a year and a half ago. It's about time I do a video on it. But they do have these in stock once in a while, so you got to keep your eyes peeled on the Zegna line. They do have some of those that are obviously still in stock. So go check out Fragrance X. I do have a coupon code on their website. It is my YouTube handle, Robes08. You plug that into the website and you get 15% off on any fragrance that you put in your little cart. So have fun. Now, also, please take the time to subscribe down below. I really appreciate my subscriber base. Hit that bell so you can keep tabs on yours truly. What's coming up next? Oh, I got a fragrance review on Ferrari's Bright and Rolly. So keep it tuned in. If you're interested in that, you want to hit that bell. I'm also all over social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under my YouTube handle, Robes08. I'm easy to find. Also on Facebook, I do have a page, but also have a group on there that's called Fragrance Guru Nation. We're up to 17,800 members now. We're going for 20,000 in 2020, and we're waiting for you to join us today. Well, now it's meat potato time. As the title suggests, I'm trying out Peruvian Ambrette from the House of Zegna. This is from their Essenza line, upper tier line, which received a facelift, I believe, back in 2018. They repackaged it. They look about the same. They put new stickers. They introduced new fragrances, and they left some behind. Most notably, of course, Javanese patchouli, and this one right here, Peruvian Ambrette. So those were kind of, probably not good sellers, or the materials were harder to find. So let's axe them. So got a little bit of a facelift. It's a line that I didn't have much of. It wasn't really on my radar. I own 4 bottles of the line now. This higher up line I really like their citruses. Actually, I own two or three of their citruses, citrus-based ones, because they're really well done from the line. So now let's take a look under the hood for some stats on this one. It was released back in 2014. How did I get my grubby little hands on it? Of course, Fragrance X had it. This is the 75 ml, the 2.5 ounce. There's bigger bottles of this, but again, it's going to be scarce to find now. The major notes to my nose on this particular fragrance, of course, the Ambrette seed is what I'm looking for, and it does have a good amount of it. It is the central theme on this fragrance. What I like about this line, from the ones I've tested, is what it says on the bottle is what's going to be in the fragrance. It is going to be your major factor, and I like that. So Ambrette seed does play a huge, huge role in this particular fragrance. Iris also, so you're going to have that comparison to Zioram because of the iris, and I'm going to get to that. And lastly, I think Gaiac wood would be my third major note in this particular fragrance. So let's remind me of this introduction. Again, it is my scent of the day, but I do want to, I got the dry down here, but I want to remind me of the introduction. Couple sprays for the community, couple pumps, and this fragrance right here. First of all, the first thing that comes to mind, no personality. It's one of those that doesn't pop. There's not any pop to this fragrance, but at the same time, there's a but there. It's very gray. It's very mineral-like. It's very much musky. Ambrette seed's not very much it's a very expensive compound to have, but at the same time, it's a very boring compound to have, to be quite honest, as a central theme. And I could see why that maybe the interest wasn't there. And, you know, the people that absolutely love this are going to lynch me for saying this, but I see a lot of great things about this. But yeah, Ambrette seed, if you didn't know, everybody talks about ambergris and oud as being very expensive materials to source. Ambrette seed is one of the most expensive natural extracts. Because of the cost, most utilize a synthetic compound. They got one at Givaudan that's called Ambrette Tolide, Zioram Intense, Le Labo Ambrette number 9, Ambrette 9, to name a few, utilize this type of compound. So very expensive thing to have in a particular fragrance. So synthetics, it is, and that's not a bad thing. So let's get into Peruvian Ambrette and tell you what I get off the top. So like I said, yeah, it doesn't have much personality. The opening of this fragrance brings me to the colors gray, white, a splash of kind of like a chalky type of white feeling. There's definitely a mineral feeling in this fragrance. Some earthy tones, very musky. Narciso Rodriguez, for him, kind of not as much personality, but it tippy toes in there. It almost has a white leathery touch with a slight smoky appeal from the Gaiac wood, which is really, really nice. It's very subtle in this fragrance. This fragrance is really just like boring. It doesn't really have highs and lows. The Gaiac wood as a note is very interesting, and it does its thing here. It's really nicely done. It's chalky in a way, but also very clean, a little bit kind of soapy, floral quality here. The Ambrette seed in the scent is simply outstanding. I'll tell you that right now, as it shows it's musky, it's waxy quality, it's showing its nutty appeal in this fragrance, slightly floral, a little bit salty at the same time. Very solid Ambrette seed note in this fragrance. So that goes to show you, as an Ambrette seed based fragrance, one of the best in the game, and understandable, there's going to be a cult following. When you're one of the best in its genre, you're gonna get it. You're gonna have to, no matter the cost, it doesn't matter. And that's where this one steps in. If I had to compare this to some designers that I know, to maybe dumb it down a little bit and let people know what it kind of reminds me of, you'd be looking at like a Prada Infusion d'Homme, very clean, very white, almost chalky, soapy feel to the fragrance, meets a Dior in a nutshell. I mean, it really feels like very white, upscale, well balanced, there's not too many nuances to the fragrance, clean, but yet missing some personality to it. I feel like the designers that I've talked about, like the Prada Infusion d'Homme, not that it has much personality, it's just very much a clean, soapy scent that people that don't like fragrances would wear. Zioram, a little more personality to the fragrance, a little more, people think that it gears towards more feminine. I mean, it really does well with the iris. And that's where this one kind of tippy toes between those two fragrances. Now, more into the deeper heart or dry down of Ambrette here. I didn't feel much movement, to be quite honest, in this early testing. However, this is a Pop the Cherry video, so I'll keep an eye on it. Everything I described in the intro and heart continues to push here, but I felt a little woody undertone here with that chalky white feel, maybe a little Play-Doh-like here, very It kind of reminds me of like a clay-like type of scent. It really kind of, yeah, very, yeah, kind of chalky, but at the same time, a little bit clay-like, a little Play-Doh-like. It really goes there. Very interesting as a release, very gray as a release. And I'm looking forward to discovering the inner workings of this one and why people love it. But I think I really touched upon it. It's one of the best in its genre. It really shows the Ambrette C. And it really is a fragrance that you don't really have to think much about while wearing. So now let's get into the Revolver, where I talk about seasons. Should you wear it a day, nighttime, versatility of it, projection, longevity. Let's get into it. Let's start with seasons. Ambrette here. Ambrette Seed is really good in the spring and fall. I feel like it's more of a tweener type of note, and that's where this one fits in. I feel like it can be a signature scent, now discontinued. Kind of hard to make it a signature scent for you, but I feel like spring mostly, this thing will shine. Fall too. Day or night, I feel like it's again like a signature scent for the day. Dressed up, casual, doesn't really matter, but you can also wear it at night. Again, I like more playful scents at night. I like more daring scents at night. This one's very much doesn't really have much personality to it, so I wouldn't really wear it too much, but you never know. And that goes to versatility, and that's where this goes. It'll shine. It'll be like a citrus-based scent. It really, yeah, fragrances without personality really are easy to wear. So you're the personality for the fragrance. So this one, high versatility, actually very high. As far as projection longevity, how did it last on my skin? This fragrance does have lukewarm reviews about its longevity. Some people say it's crap. Some people say it's great. I'm on the great side. I felt like the few times I wore this fragrance, it was 6 to 10 hours, which is a big gap. So I gotta tighten that up a little bit when I do the fragrance review. But I felt like one of my wearings, it fell short a little bit. It went 6. I was like, eh. But I wore it, I think it was like a couple days ago, and it went like 10 plus. And then today it's well on hour 8, and it's still doing well. Obviously, I've worn it fresh now, but and projection was fair. It was average. I don't think this one's a screamer, to be quite honest. It was just fairly average, and it kept its steam. This is one of those fragrances that's like the most boring fragrance ever. It just really is what it is from the first spray to the last. It just doesn't move much. So my final thoughts on Peruvian Ambrette before I put it in the vault for a full-fledged fragrance review. I got a lot of testing to do. I've really haven't done much wearing on this. As you can see, not much of a dent. But overall, these Essenzas from Zegna, awesome. I love these. They don't move much from the original idea, which is something I like to see with niche brands. Again, I like a lot of personality. You know, like a fragrance that has like leather in the name. I want some leather in the fragrance. Zegna does it well. You want Ambrette, you're going to get Ambrette all the way through. There's not much moving parts. It's like Ambrette, boom, and then there's some secondary notes that really just amplify the Ambrette, to be quite honest. It reminds me, honestly, if I want to be quite honest, not looking at the sticker on the bottle, it kind of reminds me of a Chanel type set. Very gray, very unisex, very well polished, but a lot of these Chanels are just like, meh. It's well done as a fragrance, but it's just like, where's the personality? Where is the risk in the fragrance? And I love those type of fragrances. Not all fragrances need to have risks on them, but this really reminds me of a Chanel. Just like a Chanel, this thing is really polished. It's white, gray, chalky. It can be a wedding day scent. I can see that, but it doesn't have much personality to it, which I've been saying it all the way through this review. You could probably count how many times I've said that, probably several already. To note, this one is often compared to Dioram as a Dioram niche equivalent, I guess, a higher end equivalent. And I'm going to put it just on record here. The iris in here, it's there, but it's not that prominent. It's a secondary note. It's more of an ambrette than anything. And actually, there's more gaiac in here than iris, to be quite honest. It's not sweet, nor really portray the makeup bag lipstick feel as much as I get from Dioram. I felt it was more chalky. It was more going into a clay-like type of fragrance, more of a Play-Doh-like fragrance. A unique release that I feel may bore me a little. And that's just being honest. I could see, and already I've noticed I put this as my scent of the day, and people were saying, yeah, I had it, sold it. Yeah, it may bore me a little, Or what it has been doing, even though it's kind of a little boring, it makes me gravitate towards it. So it may be one of those that it's like a slow love, and it'll be one of those that I'm like 3/4 through the bottle and I'll be like, oh crap, now what am I going to do? So it might be one extreme to another, that I'm just like, this is collecting dust, to a hidden jewel that I just can't get enough of and I don't really know why. This is one of those. It's one of those that I know that that's what's going to happen with this one. So that's my take, my pop the cherry, my first impression on Peruvian Ambrette. It kind of feels like a fragrance review, to be quite honest. I think I nailed this one, to be quite honest. I don't think I'm going to add too much to the fragrance review, only just more testing, which will give it a bulkier review. But now that you heard my take on this fragrance, I'd love to see yours in the comments below, especially this one, right? Discontinued. Has a cult following. Are you part of that cult following, or are you not? Have you sold the bottle of this? Those are the type of things I'd love to see in the comments, and people that are looking for this and may have to blind buy it. That's where these type of videos are super important in our fragrance community. So help me out. Help those people out. Not only me, that I can talk about it, but you guys too. And as always, a greater pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your Ambrette seed fragrance wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.